What happens in the sky affects life down here on Earth. The Celestial Compass shows you how and guides your way with astrology you can use from professional astrologer Kathy Beal. Every episode features her light-hearted, practical forecasts and navigational tips, blended with humor, optimism, and a love of patterns, symbolism, and pop culture references. Kathy translates technicalities into concepts that apply to real life. You'll learn how the current moment ties to where we've been, from the recent past to cycles that last happened years ago, and get a look at where we're heading. And much more, from special topics to special guests. The Celestial Compass, enlightening, entertaining, and empowering. Here's your host, Kathy Beal.
Greetings, Earthlings. It's Kathy Beal of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with another episode of Celestial Compass, and we're kicking off 2022 with a look at Oracle decks. But first, a reminder that you can find in-depth astrological forecasts by me at Om Times for the month of January and also for the Capricorn new moon that we just had. And at my site, EmpowermentUnlimited.net, there's the monthly forecast, the mooncast, and a podcast which is spoken for every week. I will just refer you to that. And we're talking about something today that I love with someone who has created one that I especially love. Our guest is Hannah, the mama of the Deck of Character. She is an artist, designer, and entrepreneur, best known for creating the Deck of Character, a modern oracle. She's also built a platform, the House of Mama, which uses media to help people believe in themselves, their power, intuition, and creativity. Hannah is based in Syracuse, New York, USA. You'll find her online at thedeckofcharacter.com and thehouseofmama.com. Welcome, Hannah.
Hi, thank you for having me, Kathy.
I'm so glad. And all you people out there in listener land, Hannah and I actually have met each other in real life. And I love it when someone whose face I've actually seen gets to be a guest on my show. And I don't say lightly that the Deck of Character is one of my favorite decks. It's one I take to parties, and I have posted images of spreads from it frequently on my Instagram feed and on my Facebook business page, Empowerment Unlimited, and also in my group, the Astro Insight Lounge. And I'm wondering, can we just talk a minute about why you think Oracle decks are so popular?
I think they're genuinely healing. I think it's that simple. To contemplate is to heal, and oracles give you a chance to just sit and hold space for yourself and reflect. And I feel like we're in a time when people are really interested in the healing arts, luckily. So we're seeing a rise in oracle culture.
It's certainly everywhere you look. Do you have a definition of an oracle deck?
A definition?
Yeah.
An oracle, to me, an oracle is just a system. So an oracle deck is like a system of cards that give you information. So really, like, some people even use a playing card deck, like a standard, like, diamonds, spades, hearts, clubs poker playing card deck. Some people use that as an oracle. If you just assign meaning to every piece in a system, then you can use it as an oracle.
The very first reading I ever got was by a woman who used regular playing cards. There are many systems for that. So I will attest that you can use regular decks as an oracle. Are there particular times and ways that you think they're especially useful? Or just anytime somebody gets the urge, or times of year, questions? I mean, I can see a zillion different reasons why somebody might pick up a deck. So, for example, you will sometimes do a pull for the new moon or the full moon, right? I'm wondering if we've lost you. Okay, so an oracle deck can be something that you use at a particular time, like again, new moon, full moon. The beginning of the year is a really, really appropriate time to do this. And I was at this. Are you back, Hannah?
Yeah, I'm back.
Hi.
It cut out.
Oh, that is so weird. Okay, so I was wondering, is there like, when might somebody, under what circumstances might somebody turn to an oracle deck?
When you are seeking wisdom, so I always teach people with the deck of character to ask a question, and it can be as simple as open-ended as just, what do I need to know now? But you don't even have to ask the question. It's just when you're seeking wisdom or guidance of some sort, that's the time to consult an oracle.
And I know that I have seen you do pulls on the full moon or on the new moon, and I know that the beginning of the year is an appropriate time. A lot of people do. I mean, I used to go through almost every deck I owned and do a reading on the first day of the year. I've really narrowed it down now, but that's one thing that I have certainly seen going on. And I guess that's what you do when you feel guided to try to figure something out. You'll reach for a deck.
Oh yeah, and I love doing it with the moons as a ritual. Every new moon and full moon to me are opportunities to reflect, to extra reflect, and yeah, just oracles are a great way, again, to hold space and time for yourself. So any time where you find that meaningful is beautiful.
So let's talk a little bit about your baby. How did you come about? How did you come to create the deck of character, and what is it? So just anything at all you'd like to tell people. If they say, "What is this? How did you name it? What is this? What does it do?"
Well, the story's kind of funny. If you had told me that I would become an oracle designer, like even a week before I drew the deck of character, I would have been like, "What are you talking about?" So I was a comedian in New York. I was performing a lot of live comedy, and I was finding that I was reaching a dead end with it. I just was getting burnt out and looking for something new. And I started turning to drawing again, because I'm also an artist. And I proposed a gallery show to a gallery. I was living in New York City at the time. And I had a meeting with them to produce a show. I was just going to produce a bunch of wall pieces of like meadows, basically, like cornucopia, abundance, joy, beauty, bliss, just a bunch of beautiful drawings. And the gallery was interested in producing artist editions, so I had to come up with an idea of a product to produce at this gallery. And the night before meeting with the gallery, it just was kind of beamed into my head, this idea for a game called the Deck of Character. Well, a game, but really, truly just an oracle. I consider the Deck of Character to be a card game. But just beamed into my head one night was the Deck of Character and a system of 3 categories: characters, tools, and places. and I drew a prototype just on the back of pretty sloppily cut index cards, just index cards cut in half so that they were small and long and narrow. They were much smaller than a playing card size at the time. And I drew these just really, really quick cartoons. If you ever get your hands on a copy of the deck of character, to people who are listening, part of its charm is that the drawings are very, very direct and straightforward. And I drew them at first with just a pen, simple cartoons, and it probably just took me like 20 minutes. I drew out maybe like 40 or 50 cards, and then didn't think anything of it. I was like, maybe 10 people will come to my art show, and that would be great. And the deck of characters also based off of the I Ching. I love this ancient Chinese oracle called the I Ching, and I played it. Well, I say play, but I used it. It's an oracle. I used it for most of my 20s, and the gallery owner is Chinese American, and I thought that she would appreciate the fact that the oracle was based off of the I Ching. But the deck of character has a lot of humor. It's kind of an anthology of my life and a synthesis of some of the comedy characters I used to play on stage. So it's a blend of a lot of things and a lot of what was happening in that transition in my life. But the gallery show didn't end up happening, and I just kind of played the game on the index cards for a year and a half with people, just for fun. And I kept finding to my surprise that people really enjoyed playing with it. It brought a lot of healing and a lot of laughter to people. And yeah, that's really the story. And then after a year and a half of playing with it as a prototype, I decided to produce it as a card game, and I was invited to a mental health for the arts event in Berlin, Germany. And I decided that that was the perfect opportunity to produce a real version of the card game on poker-sized playing cards.
They're very straightforward. It's a white background. It looks like it's drawn with a Sharpie, just black outlined images that are sweet and appealing, and they don't look overworked. They look like stroke, 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 done. And I have found that it's a very self-evident deck. People can look at the images with their label and have an immediate reaction and go, oh yeah, I know what that's about. See, so it doesn't require training, although certainly if you want, if you go to the deckofcharacter.com, there is, at least there was, is it still there, a little list of possible interpretations for each card up on the website?
You can go to the deckofcharacter.com and look up any card, and there's kind of just a stream of consciousness little paragraph for each card that is a synthesis of what fans have just spoken about the cards. So in Berlin, when I was invited to do the mental health for the arts event, that kind of kicked off like this informal tour I did for about 2 to 3 years. I did research where I just went wherever I was invited to go, to small bookstores, to art galleries, to comedy theaters, bars, restaurants, wherever I was invited. I went around Europe and the United States. I just listened to what people thought the cards meant. What's great about the deck of character is the cards are really straightforward. There's like maze, broken heart, heaven, graveyard, they're really, really straightforward symbols. So anybody from any walk of life can walk up to the deck and really say the meaning for yourself. It's very different than classic oracles, like the tarot, where it's steeped in a different era, so it's harder to translate. The deck of characters really of our times. So I always say, you know what the cards mean, but you can look up on the website just a stream of consciousness paragraph of what a bunch of people have said about the deck based off of my research.
And people do have instinctive and immediate reactions to this. I've found it to be a very easy deck to take to a party and just spread on a coffee table, and everyone kind of jumps in and has their input without any training.
Totally. Without any training. And that's someone recently just described the deck as a mix between tarot and Cards Against Humanity, just because it is that accessible. Like, you can bring it to a party and people have a lot of fun playing because the cards are so transparent. And it's funny, like the deck of characters genuinely is meant to bring laughter and lightheartedness to people. So yeah, it's great. It's really great at a party.
And with that, we're going to take our first break. We'll be back very briefly, so hang on in. Want help with your own celestial compass? Visit my site, empowermentunlimited.net, for Astro Insight forecasts for each week, month, and new and full moon. Want to explore the personal impact? Make a decision? Understand another person? It is possible. Click the Services tab to book a personal session with me. That address again? empowermentunlimited.net. Welcome back to Celestial Compass. Today we're talking about how you can use oracle decks to gain insight and also to have some fun. And my guest is Hannah, the creator of the deck of character. And before the break, we were talking about this deck being really well suited for playing at parties. And I'm recalling that when you and I met in person, you were at a small gallery store space in the Lower East Side, and a bunch of people, many of whom didn't know each other, sat around doing little card spreads and interacting and getting to know each other over the cards.
Yeah, we were at a small bookstore art gallery called Three Standard Stoppage in the Lower East Side in New York City, and that was a really fun night. Just people from the neighborhood came in to play cards, and we played for like I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, and it was such a joy. Like whenever you play the deck of character, like I said, people from all walks of life can really participate, but it's such a melting pot of conversation. Like, you brought in a lot of astrology wisdom, someone else brings their wisdom to the table, and it's just an act of really witnessing each other and holding space for each other that's beautiful and healing, and just like the deck of character really weaves together a community.
And I've noticed that it seems to do that just as well on Instagram, because people will post how they're using the cards. They'll post photos of their spreads, and you comment on it, and there's a back and forth, and people notice, you can see how other people lay things out. And you have mentioned something, I'm not sure I have the language exactly right for this, but that certain images kind of run through readings at certain times, like certain of your images are active at one point or another. How is it that you say that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, what do you mean?
Well, like for sometimes a lot of people will get the same card. Like the image of the archetype will
Oh,
be active for a period of time.
oh,
Like
will be
majestic.
trending.
Yes, trending. That's what you say. So like majestic whale will be trending. Well, that's not a bad one to trend. Or the master will be trending.
Yeah,
I'm so,
almost like a weather, like the weather. Like some cards get pulled a lot, and I like to pay attention to the data of like someone was just messaging me right before this radio show. She keeps pulling the naked man card, and she was asking me what that means, and I'm like, well, naked man usually means vulnerability. So if you keep pulling it, it's trending for you, and it's generally a message that you need to hear. And I think that's what gets a lot of people hooked on oracle cards when they keep seeing the same cards over and over again. Like another friend, I just posted on Instagram a 2021 spread, which you pull a card for the year before and then, or sorry, a 2022 spread. And you pull a card for the year before and then a card for the year ahead. And she pulled Angsty Teen twice for the year ahead, and she didn't want to hear that. But cards can trend collectively where a bunch of people are pulling Angsty Teen or Naked Man. Right now, I would say for 2022, the poop card just trended. I pulled poop for 2022 when I was playing with my friends, and a few people pulled poop for 2021. So that was a card that popped up a lot over this weekend.
that is funny. At one point last year, I think Drunken Sailor was showing up a lot.
Yeah, Drunken Sailor is a pretty common card in general. But to me, that's fascinating. It's like our consciousness is all. It's like data that shows how our consciousness is connected.
And again, there are a lot of cards in this deck, so it's statistically a little strange that a whole bunch of people would just randomly be pulling the same card. So it's as if there's some other consciousness at play here.
Yeah, there's 111 cards in the deck of characters, so when you pull the same card twice, it does feel like a phenomenon and quite a rarity.
To go back to your spread of one card for 2021 and one card for 2022, this one does involve shuffling the entire deck and mixing the three different categories. I have two decks for this reason. I have one deck that I keep the characters, the tools, and the places separate so that I can always draw from one of each. And then I have one deck that's completely commingled. Because why have only one deck of character? Why not have two?
I know. You're playing it like a champion. Yeah, some people have decks for each room in their house. And some people keep their decks separated and together just like you're doing.
Well, it just adds to the usefulness. So I was wondering, have you done a 2021-2022 pull for the collective, or would you like to do one right now?
Let's do one right now. I did one on Instagram and I liked what I got, but we should do one again. Okay,
do you remember what you got?
I got Mother for 2021 and Shield for 2022. So what I was thinking was Mother for 2021 was a lot of people, and some people wrote in and said that the message resonated with them. Mother for 2021 is all about protecting yourself, learning how to protect yourself, learning how to care for yourself, learning how to bring new ideas to life. And 2022 will be all about further protecting yourself as you walk through the world. You learned the skills in 2021, and 2022 is just simply about carrying the skills forward.
Oh, I like that a lot. I like that, and I think I could make an astrological argument for that as well.
Oh,
So how
really?
about, yeah, how about if we each pull two?
Okay.
All right.
So
So
we're
I
each
have,
going to pull one for 2021 and one for 2022?
yeah, how's that?
I love that. Yeah, that's great.
I just have most of the deck. Oh, this is cool. It's always cool. I just dropped most of the deck too, so that adds to it. Do you want me to say what I have, or you want to go ahead and pull yours?
I just pulled mine, but you go first. What'd you get?
2021, I got Ghost, and
Hmm.
2022, I got Fire.
Oh, wow. That's relatable for me.
So I would say that Ghost indicates coming into contact with a lot of things that maybe are scary or unnerving or from the past and actually really dead or not tangible. So a lot of phantasms. And fire is something that fuels you, that warms you, and it sure fits with the planet Jupiter moving into Aries for May through October. So we will be feeling fire as this year goes on. What do
Oh,
you
wow. I
see?
love that.
What do you see with Ghost and Fire?
I love when you talk about astrology, Kathy.
Well, thank you, because that's what I do. But what do you see about can you make any connection with Ghost and last year?
Yeah, I think Ghost, there was a lot of like confronting fear, like just with this pandemic continuing, it's just you have to confront like the fact that we're still within the effects of the pandemic, the effects economically, the effects socially, the effects psychologically, and there's just a lot of reconciling those fears.
And then Fire, what does that say to you?
I think fire will just be seeing a lot of things being rebuilt and a lot of passion stirred as I think we'll be coming more out of the pandemic in 2022. So, yeah, I see just what you said, a lot of heat and warmth returning to our souls.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
what did you get?
Let's see. Oh, I got brass for 2021. Oh, and Majestic Whale for 2022. Wow. What I'm feeling is for 2021 in brass, we just learned how to breathe and be present. Um, I started a daily habit in 2021 of walking outside. And I love just kind of being with the earth and feeling the earth underneath my feet and just like kind of breathing in the fresh air. And like that was like basically my biggest accomplishment of 2021 was finding that presence and valuing it. And I think relating this again to the pandemic, I think being in the pandemic, it's forcing us to just be present. Like we can't really do all the things that we used to do. And instead, how can you find pleasure in the little things, the simple things? And then Majestic Whale for 2022. I don't know. Maybe this year will be pretty epic. Maybe there will be miracles. Maybe there will be like divine serendipitous coming together. I love how the Majestic Whale, it's just a simple cartoon of a whale, but the whale looks like it's smiling and winking at you. So I feel like the universe knows something special is going to go on.
Well, and I can make an astrological correlation for both of those because
Really?
breath does correlate to life coming down to its simplest elements, which has been something we've been pushed to over a couple of years now. And also breath That's a kind of ironic thing. Breath is what's transmitting a lot right now because we've had to mask, and the current version, the current strain of the virus is one that is highly transmittable even through masks. So that's a weird kind of thing. And majestic whale fits Jupiter in Pisces. It's in 2 signs this year, and in the first part of the year until the middle of May, and then again mid-October to the end of the year, it's one of the more boundless, indulgent influences in the sky is in a sign of absolute interconnectedness and the seas. And there is imagination on tap for all of us that we have not experienced since 1856. So massive, massive imagination possibilities, especially building toward April. So, and majestic whale came up in one of the readings that I did at a small New Year's gathering this weekend for an actor friend of mine. And so it's trending already just in this conversation.
Yeah, it came up earlier when we were talking.
And I could see it fitting completely. Jupiter in Pisces and Jupiter meeting Neptune, ruler of the sea, in Pisces in mid-April. So there are some wonderful natural non-human but organic potentials that are possible with this, because I'd say a whale does not have a human consciousness, but we know that whales do have consciousness. They sing, they travel in social groups, they have pods. So I love that. I love that so the way I'm looking at it as our 2-card spreads covered the span of the greater collective energies for 2022. The whale, and then a lot of fire, and then the whale. So I love how these guys work. So when someone's doing, when you do a spread, there are many different ways someone could go about using an oracle deck, like in terms of how you lay the cards down. And my teaching has always been to know in advance what you're pulling, like how many positions you're going to have and what you want them to mean, and not just kind of like randomly throw stuff and then try to figure out what each thing is supposed to mean. You have come up with several different spreads. What's the approach you take
to designing them?
Yeah.
Well, there's usually a theme that I'm trying to capture. Like for the spread that we just did, it's called the in-between spread. I like it when a spread is elemental. So the in-between is kind of the elements of the past and the future meeting. So all my spreads, you can go on the deckofcharacter.com and look up formations and use them even with other oracle decks if you want. But they're all based on the elements. So the in-between is like the elements of the past and the future. And as a designer, that's what I really think about, is how do I communicate the elements here. I think the most popular formation on the website is called the Square of Life, and it's actually based off of a metaphysicist, Florence Scovel Shinn, who I love. I love her work so much. She was in New York City in the 1920s, and she wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And it's basically about Christ consciousness and how to use Christ consciousness in like this elemental, fundamental way to navigate life and build your happiness. But she says that there's a square to life, which is health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. And every single human on the planet deserves their optimal expression of the four of those: health, wealth, love, and self-expression. So I invented a formation based off of Florence's work called the Square of Life, where you pull 3 cards for health, 3 cards for wealth, 3 cards for love, and 3 cards for self-expression.
Unfortunately, right now, we have to take one final break, and we'll come back and explore this formation just a bit more. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Hang in, everybody. Come on back.
How would you like navigational tools you can use on your own? Visit my site, empowermentunlimited.net, and click the Shop tab. There you'll find lots of talks and guides explaining the big influences at work now, like Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus. You'll also find a variety of guided visualizations for relaxing, clearing your energy, or getting to know planetary archetypes. That address again, empowermentunlimited.net.
Welcome back to Celestial Compass, where we're talking about oracle decks and spending a lot of time talking about the deck of character with its creator, Hannah, the mama of the DOC. And we've been talking about different formations or spreads that you can use actually with any oracle, and these are up on the deckofcharacter.com. And you were talking about the Square of Life that was inspired by metaphysician Florence Scovel Shinn, who was active a lot in the 20s. So you're saying there are 4 positions here, and you're saying 3 cards for each of the 4 positions: health, wealth, love, and self-expression. Would it be too complicated for us to try to do one for the collective for this year?
Sure, let's do it. So I said this earlier about oracles, but contemplation is healing, and the oracles work because it's all about holding space for yourself and contemplating the answer. And this is the hardest spread that I have invented. It's the most complex with 12 cards. So we're going to get a lot of healing contemplation in on this one.
Okay.
Should we pull cards together? Like you pull 3 for health and wealth, and I'll pull 3 for love and self-expression?
Sure. So let me go first with health, since it's at the top. I have the cave. That kind of fits where we all are. Wild woman, the divine feminine, having a gay old time. And tongue. Tasting things. That's interesting. So, cave, wild woman, and tongue. For health.
What do you think they mean?
Well,
for
cave
health?
is, we're all, watch us all isolate more, but we're also spending a lot more time going within. Like it's part of the process, and yet this doesn't mean just going dormant. Wild woman is all the feminine instincts just coming out, and she's dancing. She is naked, folks, and she's dancing and having a good time. And tongue to me is, well, maybe it's pay attention to what you eat. That could be a part of this. And actually tasting life, partaking of life. Again, cave is, so this means that cave isn't just stepping within or staying at home and not doing anything. This is moving your body, being maybe ecstatic dance, and actually eating things and paying attention to how things eat, taste, and feel.
Yeah, oh, I love that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good advice in these 3 cards. Just spend time with your body, like go within and be present in your body. And yeah, just like you said, taste the foods that you're eating. Maybe do yoga in your house, like things that get you in touch with your body is a path to health right now.
Makes sense to me. Would you like
I like that spread.
Would you like to do love?
Sure. I pulled 3 cards already for love.
Okay.
Spatula, which is kind of one of the driest cards in the deck of character. Fuel. And devotee, wow. Spatula, fuel, devotee for love. Well, with spatula, there might be a pivot of some sort in your love lives out there. And the pivot is pivoting you towards some sort of fiery devotion, some sort of passionate, fueled path. So I would say be present in your love life. Take risks. I would be curious to hear where Venus is at in the planets.
Venus is in a condition that's called retrograde. She's going back over old business, and she's in the sign of Capricorn. She's in Capricorn until the beginning of March. She's retrograde until the end of January, and during this time she's making a 3-part dance with Pluto, the lord of the underworld, secrets, completely unconscious motivations, really very, very intense, scary things coming up, things that are way beyond your conscious understanding. And Venus meeting 3 times with Pluto is putting people up against real deep-seated phobias and fears and terrors, and also helping people become conscious of what it is they absolutely desire. And there's a cutting back also with this, so there's a streamlining that's part of it. And she met twice with Pluto in December, and she'll do it again at the end of March. So, I mean, beginning of March. So, and I noticed that this, I mean, I look at the spatula as you work with something. You don't just, I mean, you scrape things, you flip things over, you stir things, you move things. A spatula is something it's a tool you interact with.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems to add.
Yeah. And Venus is interacting with all these planets, which is pretty cool.
Well, and she meets with Mars and Pluto at the beginning of March. Mars being she's desire, Mars is drive and how you go get things. So, and this also, to me, also answers back to Jupiter and Neptune meeting in Pisces in mid-April. High love, spiritual love, highest love, whatever. That's the devotee bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Very different from what I'm getting for wealth. You ready to laugh?
Okay. Yeah.
Band-Aid, vomit, and
oh my
poop.
God. Wow, that's intense.
So there are things that we're not quite dealing with Band-Aid. Maybe there's stuff to heal. Maybe there are things that we're just covering over. Vomit that's Venus Pluto to me. That's stuff getting out. And the same with poop. Stuff getting out, purging, getting rid of things. Interesting for wealth. Maybe this is making space.
Yeah, I know I want to heal my financial situation, and I see a lot of healing in those cards where vomit can be a lot about detoxifying, and poop's about like letting go and closing a chapter, and you're just kind of healing that situation, healing money, your relationship to money. I feel like there's so much toxicity in the way capitalism operates right now that we all need to detoxify our relationship to it a little bit.
And this has an astrological parallel because the eclipses this year are in the signs that deal with resources and money and how we use them and how we share them. So that's beautiful. What do you have for self-expression?
Let's see. Dragon. Ooh, I love that. It's time to speak up, speak your truth. Flower. Wow, you're blossoming. Oh my gosh, in the self, I would say, this is, well, they're all pretty healthy, all four of the sides of the square that we just did, but dragon, flower, and the self, that's definitely 3 cards of strength, 3 cards of beauty, 3 cards of really, you're not running from anything, you're just being yourself. You're showing up, you're speaking up. It's good to do all those things. And yeah, I would say self-expression's in a pretty empowered place.
And it strikes me that that's also out in the world, and it's directly opposite health, which is very internal and private. Cave, wild woman, and tongue, very private and personal. And the self-expression is you're showing it to others. You aren't in a cave expressing yourself. What was that? The middle card was meadow. Is that what you said?
Flower.
Flower. Okay. Well, and sun. Okay,
yeah, it's very outward blossoming.
Yeah, and it's got the fuel to make it want to blossom with the sun beaming down and creating chlorophyll. Yay.
Yay! Yeah, I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I would say it's much more outward than health with dragons. Dragons, on the card, the dragon's breathing fire, and it's just very like outward, expansive, like permission to really speak up for yourself.
That seems extremely optimistic and auspicious.
Yeah.
Coolness. The one other thing I wanted to mention is I drew 3 cards for myself at the start of 2022. I drew 1 tool, 1 character, 1 place, and I just think this is hysterical. My tool is gift. My character is explorer, and there's a star on the flag, people, so laugh even more. And the place is the circus.
Oh, the circus of life.
Yep. So just go explore, look at it all as a gift, and go in the dang tent and remember it's a circus.
I pulled the circus card a lot when the deck of character first came out when I was in Berlin, Germany. And I see it as like an invitation to just participate in life and be part of all aspects of life. Like you can't, like someone's going to be the ringmaster, someone's going to be like a hula hooper, someone's going to be a trapeze artist. Everybody's always doing their own things in the myriad of ways that humans do their things. And it's just permission to like be part of it and participate. I'm a pretty huge introvert, so I'm always wary of being in the world for how much I've traveled and had adventures. But circus tends to pop up when it's when life wants to encourage you to be part of its circus.
Yeah, I hear Sally Bowles in Cabaret singing, "What good is being alone in your room? Come hear the music play." Yeah, okay, yeah, well, that's what I do. I'm not going to be a hermit. No chance of that. Well, so the deck of character is in production. This is something people can get their hands on, right?
Yeah, you can buy a deck on the deckofcharacter.com. Decks are $27, and shipping's pretty fast. You'll get, if you're in the United States, you'll get your deck within probably like 3 days of ordering it.
Wow. That's fast. And I've certainly given these to many people. Many of my friends now have their own deck, and it'll fit easily in your purse. And I'm a deck junkie. I can't even count. I've got bins and bins of decks. I've got decks all over my living room floor. It's like this growth, like a fungus around one of my chairs, and every time I look up, it's wider and wider, encroaching into the middle of the. But this one, I always know. I always know its location in my belongings. I often lose track of decks, but not this one. Yeah, and so there is all of that. So do you have any other any schemes, anything more now that you have also your other site? I know for a while you were doing paintings.
Yeah, I'm taking a break from paintings right now. I'm doing drawings on my iPad. I just love the concept. I forget who, I read it somewhere in a book. I think it was Wayne Dyer, who said that life is about love, beauty, abundance, peace, and joy. And that's heaven on earth. And I just kind of have been making iPad drawings of that. iPad drawings that say love, beauty, peace, joy, and abundance over and over again. And to me, that's spirituality. So that's what I've been working on in my personal life.
I can think of worse ways to spend your time. Drawing those words. That's wonderful. Well, I am so glad that you came and kicked off the year with me. I've wanted to have you on for an interview, and it didn't work another time. So I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Thanks for having me, Kathy. This really was a joy.
And let's tell people again, you can find Hannah at thedeckofcharacter.com and thehouseofmama.com. And on Instagram, what's your handle?
At the Deck of Character.
Yeah, and that's a fun one to follow because you'll see what other people are doing with the cards and her own spreads. And sometimes she offers card pulls for very reasonable amounts of money. So thank you so much. Everyone have a great couple of weeks. Look for my forecasts at empowermentunlimited.net and omtimes.com. And I'll talk to you again soon.